If you're an Amazon seller who's struggling to get traction or stuck at a plateau, what I'm about to tell you could transform your business. In just 8 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the exact strategies that I use to take my business from a few £100 profit a month to a 6-figure Amazon FBA business. The truth is, most Amazon sellers make things way harder than they need to be. They focus on the wrong metrics, waste time on unnecessary tasks, and miss the simple tweaks that could double their profits almost overnight. I've spent years perfecting my approach to Amazon FBA through online arbitrage, and today I'm going to break down the key strategies that could help you double your profit, no matter if you're just starting out or if you're already making decent money. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's dive into what actually works on Amazon in 2025. Let's take a look at the biggest mistake that most Amazon sellers make. The number one reason most sellers struggle is they're trying to compete where everyone else is competing. They're looking at the same products, the same sources, and the same strategies that thousands of other sellers are using. When I first started, I made this exact mistake. I'd spend hours scanning products on major retail websites that everyone knows about, whether that be Argos, Currys, John Lewis, and I'd wonder why I couldn't find profitable items. The competition was just too fierce. I was looking at the same product categories as everyone else. Let's face it, who here doesn't go straight to beauty products? I was using the identical sourcing strategies and relying on the same groups as everyone else for my leads. I didn't really need to pay too much attention to niches, and I'd just find any product that would sell. The problem with this is it just promotes fierce competition on the same product, and all this does is drive the prices downwards. It gives us tiny profit margins. It means that the products we are finding are likely to turn into non-profitable products. This ultimately slows down the business growth, and we're just getting in constant price wars with other sellers. I began exploring niche retailers. I was checking out the clearance sections of far more obscure shops. I was branching out into less obvious categories. The results of these changes spoke for themselves. There was less competition, which gave me higher profits. I was finding unique products, which gave me a lot more control over the listings. I was able to source faster because I knew exactly where I was going. I was able to build up some excellent relationships with suppliers, and this gave me sustainable competition advantages. Often see sellers come onto listings of products that I was selling, and I knew that my purchase price was far lower than theirs. So let's dive into my 4-step framework to double your Amazon sales. Step 1, find your profitable niche. Focus on 2 to 3 categories maximum. Most beginners try to sell anything and everything, but the real money is in specialization. When I just focused on 2 to 3 categories that I understood well, my sales immediately started to increase. I became an expert in spotting deals in these niches because I knew what sold well and what. For example, I noticed that small kitchen appliances consistently had higher margins and less competition than electronics or toys. By focusing just on this niche, I was able to identify profitable products much faster and make much better buying decisions. When it comes to selecting your niche, some good starting points would be products that you personally understand and use, categories with less obvious competition. Now, a good way of doing this is to just pick some products at random in those categories and see how many other FBA sellers are on the listings. Items with a consistent year-round demand, these are going to make it possible to sell consistently all year round rather than fluctuate within seasons. Healthy ROIs are important, 30 to 40% when starting out for sure. These can be reduced as you get more knowledgeable of your niche, but when starting you want to keep that nice and high. And then categories that you can reasonably become an expert in. Here we have 5 particular niches that you can look into: small kitchen appliances, home organisation tools, pet accessories, fitness equipment components, and special hobby supplies. What you will notice with these is these are not just the headline category. So for example, home and kitchen on Amazon would be that category. What you want to do is you want to go deeper. So not just home and kitchen, but in this instance, small kitchen supplies. There is a pets category on Amazon. Well, we're not looking at pet food, pet supplements. We're going to look at pet accessories. You're not looking at that high level headline category. You're coming 1, 2, 3 rungs below and really niche down to become a specialist. Step 2, master the BSR game. Now, BSR is the best sellers rank. It's the most misunderstood metric on Amazon. Most sellers just look at the number without understanding what it really means. The key insight I discovered is that BSR fluctuations tell you much more than an actual number itself. When I started tracking how a product's BSR changes over time using Keeper, I could identify products that were consistently selling well versus those that were just having a temporary spike. It's so important to track the patterns and not just the numbers. I focus on a BSR of under 50,000 in its main category. Now, this will depend on certain categories, but across the board, this is generally a very good number. Focus on consistency rather than spikes. If there is a temporary improvement, why is that? Is that temporary improvement going to turn into consistent improvement, or is it in fact just temporary? Use Keeper to track the 90-day history. This is super critical. And if you're looking at seasonal products, then you probably want to be looking over the last 12 to 18 months. Look for steady sellers, not just volatile ones. Again, this is super important. We want to build a consistent, steady business. We're not just here for a quick cash grab. And then understanding the seasonal fluctuations. So everything's going to sell well around Christmas, but how does it sell across the year? A product with a steady BSR of 40,000 beats one jumping between 5,000 and 100,000 every single day of the week. What we love is consistency. We can make sure we're utilizing the money in the best possible way. With a steady BSR, we know exactly how many to buy. We can also ward off competition with a sensible strategy. When we have a product going up and down, such as this, to two extremes, it can be an absolute nightmare to know how many to buy. We can end up with stock, plus other sellers can panic. If we have a price history consistency, we can be very confident going forward with our actual sale price, and it will allow us to check on the sale velocities and make sure we are getting our purchase quantities correct. Step 3, build a data-driven buying system. Sellers who make the most money on Amazon aren't just randomly buying products, they have a system. I created a simple spreadsheet where I track every purchase decision using these criteria. Current Amazon sale price, the historical data over the last 90 days, number of active sellers, especially FBA, purchase costs including shipping, all Amazon fees, the expected ROI, and then the estimated sell-through time. This simple system ensures I'm making buying decisions based on data, not emotion. When I implemented this, my ROI jumped from around 20% to over 40% on average. I'd only buy if all of these criteria are met. So ROI of 30% or higher, expected sale within 30 to 60 days. Ideally, I look to sell within 30 days. Stable price history and a manageable competition level. Step 4, scale through automation. Once you've proven your system works, the key to doubling your sales is to do more of what's working without working twice as hard. Game changer for me was hiring a virtual assistant to handle product sourcing. This is the most time-consuming part of the job, and if you can outsource it to someone who can work 40 hours a week for you, you're actually going to be benefiting so much. For just £3 an hour, my VA now searches for products using my criteria, which frees me up to focus on strategy and growth. I also automated my repricing using a repricer, in this instance a cent repricer, which ensures that all my products stay competitively priced without me having to manually adjust prices all day. I set up Keeper alerts for price changes on products I'm tracking, and I use inventory management systems such as STK to help track all my stock and sales. This has allowed me to scale massively without increasing the time I spend in the business. The one thing that changed everything. If there's one thing that made the biggest difference to my Amazon business, it was focusing on sell-through rate rather than just profit margins. And I bet you 99% of sellers don't even know what I'm talking about. Most sellers get excited about finding a product with a high ROI, but they don't consider how quickly it will sell. I'd rather sell 10 items with a 30% ROI that move in a week than one item with 100% ROI that might take 3 months to sell. I could reinvest my profits more quickly and compound my growth. It also reduces storage costs and fees, which obviously free up even more cash. There's far lower risks of price changes, and it just gave me way more opportunities to scale. Key takeaway is to focus on velocity over margin. Make sure we get that turnover rate as optimized as possible. Stay on top of the cash flow management. With more cash flow turnover, it allows us to reinvest at much higher frequency. How to implement this today? Here is your action plan to get started right now. Choose 3 product categories. Set up a Keeper account and learn the interface. Create your tracking spreadsheet, super important, and then identify 5 to 10 potential products. Next up, we need commitment. Dedicate at least 2 hours a day purely to product sourcing. Make sure you're continually reviewing and updating the tracking data and analyze all your successful purchases, not just at point of purchase, but through their lifespan. Then we're going to invest all of our profits for at least 3 months minimum. We're going to continue to track our system and optimize it. We're going to look to build relationships with suppliers, and then we're going to scale the strategies that work. And that is important, the strategies that are working. If you follow this framework consistently, I guarantee you'll see a significant increase in your Amazon sales within 30 to 60 days. You should see an increase in sales volume. You should see higher profit margins. You should be able to source far quicker. You should have a far improved sourcing ability, and you should be becoming an expert in your niche. Within 3 to 6 months, you should see a steady, consistent monthly revenue growth. You should have some good relationships with consistent suppliers. You should have an automated system that is giving you so much more time to focus on growth. And you should be seeing your future having at least 6 figures in it. I am an example of just this. I started with £5,000 and I've now got a high 6-figure business. Despite what the Deltas say, Amazon FBA is still highly profitable in 2025. Remember, success on Amazon isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter than your competitors. If you found this helpful, please make sure to subscribe for more Amazon FBA content. And if you're serious about scaling your business, check out my free Amazon FBA content in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.